Now, after we launched a browser session, we can automate almost everything a human can do. The plugin comes with an extensive amount of 98 commands and functions that enable you to test and automate any type of web application or website. In a future video, you will see how to hide the fact that the browser session is automated to prevent websites from blocking. But for now, let's start with the basics. To interact with any website, you need to understand selectors. A selector tells the browser which element you want to interact with. An interaction can be anything like clicking, typing, scrolling, and many more. The Automaxed browser plugin allows you to choose from 30 different selector types. XPath is the default selection method, but you are not limited to this. Having 30 selector types at hand makes this a very powerful tool for browser automation because it makes it so much easier to find a unique selector expression for any element you want to work with. You can tell the browser which element to interact with by inserting its XPath expression, a CSS property, the ID of an HTML element, the class name of the element, the link text, beginning and end text, or even using regular expressions for maximum flexibility. As soon as you start experimenting with different selector types, you will quickly find the easiest and most reliable ones for each specific use case. We love the unmatched flexibility this brings and hope it will be very useful for you too. A basic understanding of web technologies like HTML, CSS, and optionally JavaScript will help you find the best selectors easily. Here we show you some common ones in a practical example. Let's assume you run an e-commerce business using Shopify and want to automate a process for which no API exists. So we need to make our program log into Shopify first. Here we have put a web address already. Hit the Run button. We want to click the Login button, the link that we see in the top right corner. To find a good selector, we need to open the Web Inspector. You can either click with the right mouse button and choose Inspector, or you can simply press F12 on your keyboard. Click this icon to activate selection mode. By moving the mouse, it lets us inspect the elements the site consists of. Hover over the login link and click on it. In the blue highlighted area, you now can see all the properties of this element. We see it has class names assigned to it, and 3 attributes called item prop, data GA event, and data GA action. Also, we see it has an href attribute and a link text at the end of the element. We could use any of them to specify a selector expression. The easiest one in this example would be going with the link text. Let's put in a browser mouse click command. In the drop-down, you see all the available selector types. We decided to go by link text, so we click it. We double-click here to copy it and simply paste it right after the colon. Hit Enter or press the OK button. We now have defined a selector expression. Let's see how it works. Great! We are now at the login page and want to input an email. Let's see what selectors we can use. We could go by tag name, which would be input because it seems the only input element on the page. Also, it has classes and multiple other attributes we could choose from. For the most reliable result, we should always choose a selector unique to the element we want to interact with. Sure, we could just right-click and copy an XPath expression from here, but it is cleaner to define the selector ourselves real quick. In this example, a very unique and reliable way would be to go with the ID. In the drop-down, we click on ID. Double-click here and copy the name of the element ID. It's advisable for this command to set this to true, just to make sure that there will be no text inside the input field from previous runs. Let's test it. Great! Now there's a last important concept about selectors you should know about. You may have noticed that there is always a number before the colon inside any selector expression we can build. In most cases the number can just stay as a 0. The number 0 here means to interact with the first available element that matches our selector expression. If you would set the number to 1, you would make the browser interact with the second element that matches. If you would set it to 2, it would match the third element and so on. This comes in very handy when you deal with complex pages that have a lot of similar elements and you only want to pick out specific one at a time. When it comes to web scraping and extracting data from websites and web applications, you may even want to match all the elements on a page that would match a general expression. For example, when extracting lists, tables, or any other structured data. In this case you want to use -1 here inside the expression. The -1 will select all the elements that match, at the same time. After only a few minutes of practicing, it should become easy and straightforward to use the selector types you personally prefer.